Was our request to gather closely, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah wahdi wa salatu wa salamu ala man la nabiyya ba'd amma ba'd. When the Quraysh realized that one after the other the Muslims have now left Makkah Mukarramah, and as mentioned that nobody remained besides Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala an, and Sayyidina Ali karramallahu wajhahu. And besides these three individuals, there were just a few other weak individuals or individuals who have been imprisoned or who were unable to make the hijrah because of their difficult circumstances. Besides that, every individual who was able to make the hijrah had made the hijrah. When the Quraysh realized this, then they sat and convened a meeting that how do we tackle this? What shall we do? We need to do something about this. Meaning regarding Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. What shall we do with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So they sat in Darun Nadwa. As mentioned previously, Darun Nadwa was like their headquarters and their meeting place where the Quraysh would sit and gather. And this house, as mentioned previously as well, Hakim ibn Hizam had it. Thereafter he sold it as well. I mentioned this previously last time at the beginning. But nevertheless, they sat and had a meeting in Darun Nadwa. And all the main leaders from the different branches of Quraysh, the tribes of Quraysh, they had all gathered there. And they all said that we need to do something about this. So, whilst they had just sat down, somebody knocked on the door. They went to open this door and they found an old man standing there. They asked this man that, who are you? He says, that Ana Shaykh min Najd, I am an old man from Najd. And this was in reality Shaitan, who had come in the form of this old man. So he says, what can we do? So Shaitan replied that I've heard that you're having an important meeting. If you permit, then I can also participate in your meeting, and I can give you mashwara, I can give you some counsel as well, I can direct you accordingly. So they said to him, that's fine, you may, and they allowed him in. They sat down and they discussed amongst each other that what shall we do? So one person stood up and he says that let us imprison him. Let us capture him, imprison him, put him in a dungeon, lock him up. Shaitan said, I don't agree, because his family will not allow him to stay in that dungeon forever. They will find that dungeon, they will free him from that dungeon, and they will take him, and you will be left once again with the situation and the scenario you are in now. So another person stood up, and this person said that why not we send him in exile out of Medina Munawwar, out of Makkah Mukarramah, send him wherever he wants to go, let him go. He's causing mischief here, let him go. Shaitan said no. If you do this, then what will happen is that the people of the place where he goes, you yourself know how effective his speech is. You yourself are aware of the beauty and the encapturing nature of the Quran Kareem. So wherever he will go, he will get followers. And he will have such a big following that will then come back and he will come to hurt you. And you will lose your authority over the whole of Arabia. So then Abu Jahl stood up. And Abu Jahl said, I think we should assassinate him. But obviously he was their own blood, so this was like a last resort, because this was something which they couldn't, face the people that you've killed your own blood, you've killed your own family member. So they said that no, this is what we need to do. But then he said that the method for this is that we choose one individual from each branch of Quraysh, and each one of us will take this responsibility. Because the Banu Hashim are not just going to let this assassination go unnoticed and just brush it under the carpet. Rather, they will most definitely hold us to task. So if one person takes on this task, then that entire tribe, that entire branch of Quraysh will be at war with the Banu Hashim and will have a problem. So he says that if each and every one of us stipulate one person, how many are the Banu Hashim going to fight with? You can't fight with the whole of the Quraysh. So this should be the best resort and the thing which we should do. As soon as he said this, Shaitan said, great idea, best idea. And this should not be delayed, rather this should be done at the earliest instance. Do it tonight, because you may not get another chance. Do it tonight. And the meeting then convened, they went their way, and they decided that tonight is a night where, na'udhu billah, we will assassinate Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But nothing is hidden from the ilm and the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows everything. As soon as they made their decision, Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam came down to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam informed Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam of the entire meeting. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the verse of the Quran, وَإِذْ يَمْكُرُ بِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِيُثْبِتُوكَ أَوْ يَقْتُلُوكَ أَوْ يُخْرِجُوكَ. That, remember that time when those people who have disbelieved plotted so that they can imprison you, or they can assassinate you, or drive you out. وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ. They plan and Allah plans. وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. And Allah is the best of planners. Allah is the best of planners. You can plan what you want. You can have whatever power you want. But the supreme power, there is no superpower. The supreme power is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the supreme power. Nobody has divinity. Divinity belongs to Allah alone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord of this world, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has control over everything. People can plan whatever they want. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in another place, وَإِن كَانَ مَكْرُهُمْ لِتَزُولَ مِنْهُ الْجِبَالِ. If their plans are such that even they can move mountains as well. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow what He allows. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes may give respite, may allow things, but when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold to task. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never allow this deen to extinguish. يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ مُتِمُّ نُورِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. This is what they wish. They wish that the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extinguishes. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's deens will remain, and this light will remain shining until the last day. So وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ. They plan, and Allah plans. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, let's see what you can do. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed Jibreel that tell the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to make the hijrah. He has been given permission now. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sayyida Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha narrates in Bukhari. These riwayats were found in different narrations, but this now is from the Sahih of Imam Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, that Sayyida Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she states that كَانَ لَا يُخْطِئُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ بَيْتَ أَبِي بَكْرٍ أَحَدِ طَرَفَيِ النَّهَارِ إِمَّا بُكْرَ وَإِمَّا عَشِيَّةً. He says, never would a day pass except that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam would come to the house of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, either in the morning or either late in the evening. حتى إذا كان اليوم الذي أذن فيه لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في الهجرة. Until that day came when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was given permission to make the hijrah. At that time, وَالْخُرُوجْ مِنْ مَكَّةِ مِنْ بَيْنِ ظَهْرِ قَوْمِهِ, and to leave Makkah Mukarramah, leaving his people behind. أتانا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بالهاجرة في ساعة كان لا يأتي فيها. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam came to our house at midday. At midday, at a time when he has never ever come to our house. Because midday, we all know, especially in the summer months, and this was the summer time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was made his hijrah in the summer. Midday in the summer is not a time to go outside. Extremely hot. Everybody is generally resting. They've had their meeting. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is being told that you need to make movement quick. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes to Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu's house at a time when the whole of Makkah Mukarramah is sleeping now. He comes to the house of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, فَلَمَّا رَآهُ أَبُو بَكْرٍ قال ما جاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم هذه الساعة إلا لأمر حدث. When Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu saw Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then he said, and according to some narration that he was told, that هذا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم متقنعا في ساعة لم يكن يأتينا فيها. Either Aisha or Asma or somebody must have seen through the window that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is coming, veiled. He must have had his scarf around his face, and he's coming to our house at a time when he normally doesn't come. So he says, Fida'an lahu abi wa ummi. May my parents be sacrificed for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wallahi ma ja'a bihi fi hadhihi sa'a illa amrun. There must be something very great and important that has happened today. That is why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is here at this moment in time. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam entered the house of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala moved up, they sat down. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after sitting, he says that there was nobody there. Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha states that me, my sister Asma, and Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, it was just us three there. Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha was only 6 or 7 years old at this time. 6 or 7 years old. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, "Ukhruj anni man indak." Whoever's here, just tell them to go outside, because it's very, very private, very, very important. This cannot be leaked outside. If anybody comes to know of this, we're in problem. She says, "Ukhruj anni man indak." He says, whoever else is here with you, tell them to leave. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was told by Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu that, Ya Rasulullah, إنما هما ابنتاي وما ذاك فداك أبي وأمي. He says, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it's only my 2 daughters, Aisha and Asma. And another narration, he said that إنما هم أهلك, they're your family, part of you. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam didn't say anything. Now look at the trust he had on the family of Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 6-year-old girl. And he's going to talk about the hijrah. But when Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, because obviously he had his wife, etc. as well. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam didn't know who else was in the house. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was told that it's only Asma, and she had already become a Muslim. And Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she was also a Muslim as well. The mother of Asma and the mother of Aisha were different. The mother of Asma radiyallahu ta'ala anha, Ruman, wasn't a Muslim. Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, she says that when I grew up and I was of understanding, then I saw my parents as Muslims. I didn't know anything else besides the fact that they were Muslims. I didn't see the time, I was too young to see anything else. I only saw that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam had already given the dawah and my parents were Muslims. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he was told that only Asma is here and Aisha is here, then he sallallahu alayhi wasallam didn't say, take them out. Subhanallah. You get, whenever there's something private and you got little kids in the house, and you say, he's listening. You're careful about what they're saying. Especially, for example, there's a marriage taking place in the house and you're getting proposals and things like that. So you don't let the little young ones know in the family, because they might go outside and they might tell others, oh, this is taking place, that is taking place. So you say, you don't tell anything like that to them. But 6-year-old, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has full. This was the maturity of Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala at that age. So those that have gripe with the fact that she was very young when she got married, we don't look at the age. How old was she? She was old enough. Don't think of that a 9-year-old today, or a 10-year-old today, or a 6-year-old today, or a 15-year-old today, nowadays they're 15, 20 years old and they're still immature. You still have to teach them how to sit. You still have to teach them how to speak. You still have to teach them how to behave. The 16, 17-year-olds and they don't know how to behave and speak. But Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha was extremely highly intelligent and highly mature for her age. 6 years old, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was content that nothing would be leaked. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no problem. So Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu asked, وَمَا ذَاكَ Ya Rasulullah, بِأَبِي وَأُمِّي, may my parents be sacrificed for you. What's the matter? What is the issue? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu that إِنَّهُ قَدْ أُذِنَ لِي فِي الْخُرُوجِ وَالْهِجْرَةِ, I've been granted permission. I've been granted permission. As Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, I think I mentioned it previously as well, that when the persecution got quite difficult, then Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu actually went out to make the hijrah. And he was brought back as well by Ibn Dagina. He was said that, look, somebody like you can't leave Makkah Mukarramah. Come back. There was another time, again when he went out, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw him, where are you going? So he says, I'm going to make a hijrah. I can't take it. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no. When we get permission, we'll see at that time. So he came back as well. So he was waiting to make the hijrah, but he understood from that second time that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he gets permission, that it's possible that I will be there with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So as soon as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that قَدْ أُذِنَ لِي فِي الْهِجْرَةِ وَالْخُرُوجِ, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, as-suhba ya Rasulullah, can I come with you? Can I accompany you on this journey? Can I accompany you on this journey? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam looked at Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and said, as-suhba. Of course, Abu Bakr, you are my companion. You can join me on this journey. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he said this and he told Abu Bakr that you are going to make the hijrah with me, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu out of happiness started to cry. And Aisha radiallahu anha states, فَوَاللَّهِ مَا شَعَرْتُ قَبْلُ قَدْتُ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ قَبْلَ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ أَنَّ أَحْدًا يَبْكِي مِنَ الْفَرْحِ. Never before did I know that a person can cry out of happiness as well. I thought that a person only cries out of grief and sorrow. On that day when I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam give permission to my father, then I saw that my father is crying out of happiness, and I understood that a person can cry out of happiness as well. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave permission to Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu to make the hijrah, and he then brought 2 camels to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he says to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that خُذْ بِأَبِي أَنْتَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ إِحْدَى رَاحِلَتَيَّ هَاتَيْنِ. Ya Rasulullah, I've been looking after these 2 camels for this specific day. For this specific day, I've been looking after these camels, and I've been feeding them the best food and the best crops. And I have kept them specifically and exclusively for this journey. Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, choose whichever one you want, it's yours. Take it. Rasulullah said, no, bithaman. I'll buy it. I'll buy it. And we need to understand here, Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu had thousands of dirhams and dinars, which he spent for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the da'wah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would very freely accept it from Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and he would use it without any worry. That is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say towards the end of his life, he says that there is nobody who I haven't paid back any favors that they done to me. Every single favor who anybody has done to me, I have repaid them مَا خَلَا أَبَا بَكْرٍ, except for Abu Bakr. فَإِنَّ لَهُ يَدًا, because he has such favors upon me which I have to this day unable to fulfill, and it is only Allah who will repay him on my behalf on the day of Qiyamah. Allah will give him on my behalf on the day of Qiyamah. That's how much Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu spent on Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Everything, and as I think I might have mentioned it previously as well, that when he made the hijrah, then he had just 5,000 dirhams left. He took that with him as well. And when his father Abu Quhafa later came to know that his son Abu Bakr has made the hijrah, he was old, he had lost his eyesight as well. He came home and he said to Asma that your dad's gone, your father's left you and Aisha behind. I bet he hasn't even left you any money either. That's what she says. Asma radiallahu anha states that this is what my grandfather came to me and he said that your father's left you behind and he's probably not even left you any money. And she says the reality was that he hadn't. But she says that I went into the cupboard and there was a few pebbles there, and I got that, covered it with some cloth, and I took it to my grandfather and I said, no, look, here's the bag which my dad had left behind. So he went like this, and I said, okay, so at least he did leave something behind for you. And she says that, but the reality was that he took everything for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He took everything for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam accepted it, but here Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, no, I'm going to buy it. And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam paid 400 dirhams to purchase that camel. Now 400 dirhams, I just worked it out before, according to today's price, we keep in mind inflation, etc., 8,000 pounds. 8,000 pounds was that camel. And he paid it. And he says, no, I'm going to buy it. Now ulama state the reason was that hijrah was a great ibadah. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself wanted to invest in this ibadah. That this hijrah is such a great event in the history of Islam, and I want my own money to go into this hijrah. I want my own money to go into this ibadah. I don't want Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's money. Although Abu Bakr is like, his money is like my money, but no, I want my own money to go for this cause. So he spent that, he bought that camel from Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and thereafter there are some narrations as well that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then told Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu that you go into my house and you stay upon my bed and remain there, remain behind, you can come later on. And because he was a young boy as well, so he says you can remain here. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also had many amanats and was entrusted with people's goods as well. So he told Ali radiallahu anhu that after I leave, you give these things out. And the Quraysh then surrounded the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at nightfall. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, according to certain riwayats, he then left the house. Abu Jahl and everybody was waiting outside that as soon as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will come out in the morning or any time during the night, we will attack him. They didn't find it appropriate to enter into anybody's house without permission. They're going to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they had certain morals as well of how to kill. Certain individuals, they have no morals. There's no morals, there's no rules. You understand that you can just do whatever you want. So the kuffar of Makkah, at least they had certain morals that, look, we're going to kill him, that's fine, but we can't go into his house and just kill him like that. When he comes out, then we'll kill him. So they waited outside. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Jahl said that, Muhammad is promising Jannah and he's saying this and saying this, and let's see what will happen today. At that moment, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam walks out, reciting the verses of Surah Yasin, and comes to the ayat فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. We've made a barrier in front of them, we've made a barrier behind them, and we've engulfed them such that they cannot see. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reciting these verses, and he was throwing some sand upon them, and none of them could see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he walked out. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam walked out, and he went with Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and they went out, and whilst they had left, these people were still waiting. A person passed by. A person passed by and says, "What are you doing here?" So he's saying, "We're waiting for Muhammad to come out of his house." So he says, "I just saw him walk that way a little while ago." So he says, "No, it can't be." And they went, then Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was in the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they said that, "Oh, the opportunity has gone." They asked Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu anhu, "Where has he gone?" Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu anhu says, "I do not know where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went." And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made his way towards the cave of Thawr, and he took refuge in that specific cave of Thawr, and he made arrangements, certain arrangements for the stay in the cave of Thawr as well. Inshallah, that we'll discuss next week, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand the sacrifices which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave, and understand that the greatest planner is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We may see events taking place and unfolding, and we may think that, what is happening, etc. As Allama Rumi states that, there's an ant walking on a rug, and is going through all the fibers of this rug, and is thinking, what is this, and it's different colors. 1 minute is green, 1 minute is blue, 1 minute is red, and it's walking, and he's thinking, what is all of this, and he doesn't understand. But the person who looks at the whole rug can see the beauty of the pattern, and can see the different fibers, and can see the beauty and the flowers and the embroidery and everything that is there. So Allama Rumi says that whilst we're navigating ourselves through this world, and we see the events taking place, then we're just like that ant, going through these little fibers, not understanding what is happening here, why is this happening there, why is it like this over here, but why should it not be like this over here. But at the top, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees the full picture, and this is the beautiful plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. The people can plan whatever they want, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what and how His plan is going to take place. When the Mongols came and they ransacked Baghdad and completely decimated Baghdad, and they completely destroyed the heritage of Baghdad, then people were thinking that Islam is gone, it's finished. The historians have written that we didn't know what's happened, and what's hit us, and how we're going to get up again. But then from these very Mongols, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revived Islam once again, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted them Islam. So this is the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is happening, how events take place, we don't know. All we are aware, and it is our yaqeen and belief, that Allah is Al-Hakim, Allah is all-wise. And as we hear time and time again from different people saying this all the time, despite the tragedies and the atrocities which they are saying, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient for us. We have Allah, we have nothing to worry about. The help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come. It may be immediate, it may be a little bit later, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has everything planned out. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is leaving Makkah Mukarramah in the dead of the night. He's unable to say anything, and whilst leaving Makkah, he's crying as well that I don't want to leave here. But Allah had another plan, and within 8 years, Makkah Mukarramah is under the banner of Islam. Within 8 years, leaves alone without anybody, and within 8 years, he's conquered the whole of Arabia. This is the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to understand His greatness, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He bring ease and peace throughout the world as soon as possible, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alleviate the difficulties from the entire ummah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa sallallahu ta'ala khayr khalq Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سلام على عباده الذين اصطفى، سلام على المرسلين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد وانزل المقعد المقرب عند الله مربع هذه الدعوه القامه والصلاه النافعه. صل على محمد وارض عني رضا لا تشكر بعد وبدا. اللهم صل على محمد عبده ورسوله وسلم على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد وبارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد وارحم محمد وعلى محمد كما صليت وباركت ورحمت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد النبي وأزواج أمهات المؤمنين وذريته وآل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وترحم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما ترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ترحم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما ترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم تحنن على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما تحننت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم سلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما سلمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صلوا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم على محمد وعلى آل محمد وارحم محمد وعلى محمد كما صليت وباركت وترحمت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد عبده ورسولك كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وبارك على محمد النبي الأمي كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد عبده ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد صلاة تكون لك رضا ولو جزاء ولحق أداء وعطيه الوسيلة والفضيل والمقام محمود الذي وعدته واجزيه عنا ما هو أهله واجزيه أفضل ما جازيت نبيا عن قومه ورسول أمته. وصل على جميع إخواني من النبيين والصالحين يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته كما صليت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم صل علينا معهم. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى أهل بيته كما باركت على إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك علينا معهم صلوات الله وصلوات المؤمنين على محمد النبي الأمي. اللهم اجعل صلواتك ورحمتك وبركاتك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما جعلت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وصلى الله على النبي الأمي. التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. والسلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات الطيبات الصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات لله الطيبات الصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات المباركات الصلوات الطيبات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله بالله. التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أسأل الله الجنة وأعوذ بالله من النار. التحيات لله الزاكيات لله الطيبات الصلوات لله. الله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بسم الله بالله خير اسماء التحية الطيبة والصلوات لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وأن الساعة آتية لا ريب فيها. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. اللهم اغفر لي واهدني. التحيات الطيبات والصلوات الملك لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله التحيات لله الصلوات لله الزاكيات لله. السلام على النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. شهدت أن لا إله إلا الله شهدت أن محمدا رسول الله. التحيات الطيبات والصلوات الزاكيات لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. التحيات الطيبات والصلوات الزاكيات لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. التحيات الصلوات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. التحيات لله الصلوات الطيبات. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. التحيات المباركات والصلوات الطيبات لله. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. بسم الله والسلام على رسول الله. يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك اللهم ونتوب إليك. إنا نسألك الخير ما سألك.